Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can see and hear us okay. Join me. Jamie has joined us already. Eggus is here. I hope I said it right this time, fingers crossed. A couple on YouTube straight away. So if you can do the honors and let us know that you can see and hear us on YouTube, okay. And then if you are watching via Facebook, can you let us know if you can see us on and hear us on Facebook? Okay. So hi, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Very well. Thank
I
you.
can hear myself.
Oh, got feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah. We've got Peter. Peter's confirmed can see and hear us, and so has Jamie perfectly. A couple of people on Facebook. My Facebook app decided to literally die 2 minutes before we came on. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, it's Luke. Paul's joined us. Hi, Paul. Hi, Luke. And Luke's confirmed that you can see and hear us. Perfect. So lots of people jumping on today. Hope everyone is well. What a weird week, eh?
It is, isn't it?
It's such a
Since a
weird
lot's
week.
changed since we last spoke.
It's like the whole world's changed since we last spoke, for sure. Hi, guys. Hi, Jack's joined us as well. That must be Sean. Anyone missing hundreds or thousands of units at FBA? We're missing loads and sales have dropped. So we're going to talk about a few things before we start and kick off on the IP stuff today. Because I know that there's a few issues rumbling around Amazon at the moment. And Nikolai's joined us as well. So I just want to check off a couple of those and just have a bit of an open chat about it. Essentially, Sean, I know your situation is a little bit unique. It's where Amazon are saying that the units are in stock, but they're not. It's like they're hidden, but it's not a suppression. It's weird. I've not seen
Weird. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I say, unfortunately, and it sounds the most unhelpful advice ever. And I'm really aware that it sounds the most unhelpful advice ever. But it's like you just got to be relentless with Seller Central. Escalate it to the managing director team. Give examples of exactly what you're looking at. And send screenshots, send evidence, get on live chat, see if you can get somebody to call you. With these type of issues, unfortunately, a lot of the time they're not resolved until you speak to the right person on Amazon. And I know that's very all well said and good, but it's incredibly frustrating. But imagine the amount of times where you hear people are saying, oh, well, I got the right person on live chat and I sorted it out.
Yeah.
So
we had a very similar issue. We had a similar issue last month where we had a box. If anyone, I think I put a post up last night about Germany. We had a box that went to Germany and was lost. Now, the way it works with Germany is you send it to one Amazon fulfillment center and then they send it to Germany. So Amazon sales support was saying, yeah, it's been delivered and the units aren't there. And we're saying, no, it's not. It's got to fulfillment center 1, but not fulfillment center 2. And it was just like a broken record. They were like, yeah, but it's been delivered and the units aren't there. I'm like, it hasn't been delivered. That's the point. And we're just going back into it. Eventually, after I think it was 13 or 14 reopenings of the case, we did eventually get through somebody and we got a full refund. But it was just like bashing your head against a brick wall would have been easy because they had this script and this process of, well, it's gone to Amazon and therefore if it's not there, then it's you didn't send them. I'm like, no, this is different. This is a different situation. Why can't you understand that this isn't how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. It's understanding when you become an Amazon seller that relentlessness, tenacity is part. It's not just about how well you can read a keeper chart. It's about how well you can navigate working with one of the most challenging companies in the world. Amazon's a very challenging company to work at as a seller. So you have to have a certain level of tenacity to have a certain level of success, I believe. It's not all, as Sylvester Stallone says, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. You need to be able to deal with these type of issues. And it's not like working with Amazon is so much worse than working with anyone else. It's just different. When we had our distribution company, the headaches we faced were the same level, but, just in a different scenario. You know what I mean? The frustration's the same level, but you're just dealing with a different company or a different person or whatever. So, this is part and parcel of running a business, unless you are somebody who literally is a painter and decorator and completely relies on word of mouth, and you are full all the time, and you buy paint and you paint houses and you don't have to advertise and you don't have to do anything like that, which there are people that run businesses like that, of course. Then it's, you have to deal with these challenges in businesses for sure.
I think every business has challenges. It's just every business has different challenges. And like, take Amazon. So okay, so we have problems with lost stock, IP claims, and all that. But then if people think, oh well, if I could become private label, then I won't have some of these problems. And then but then you have a different set of problems. It's not that you don't have problems; you just have different problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I'm not going to do arbitrage anymore. I'm going to do private label, and it's going to solve all my problems. Good luck with that one. Do you know what? It could, but it won't be without a lot of more frustrating challenges along the way. Whereas probably in arbitrage, price tanking, I would say, is the biggest frustration. Unless guys in the comment, prove me wrong. I'll be with that guy on Twitter that stands up with the sign that says, prove me wrong. I personally think, apart from Amazon, price tanking is probably the biggest area of frustration for people. Whereas on something like private label, the equivalent would be, I don't know, dirty tactics, like, competitor reviews, or it would be PPC, something like that, not understanding why you're losing a rank. It could be over, a suppression or something. So, every business has its own level of frustration, challenges. But if you can overcome them, if you can work towards them, then absolutely, then you can put those aside and you will be able to handle, anything for sure. So let me say hello to a few people. So we've got Simona, Lindsay, Lee. Cindy says the Irish call center is great. They always understand and deal with my issues. There we go. Top tip. Can we get a phone number for the Irish call center, please? And pop it in the econ group. Sean says all mine are arriving at FBA. Then it says in stock when they're not, as I know. Maybe they're moving stock ready for Q4 and other sellers are not noticing it. Can it just be me? So yeah, the transfer of stock is something that Amazon started doing a few years ago. And it's funny, like I said, Sean, I've said it a couple of times, and let me know if you've done it now, because I've said it a couple of times. Try putting on the in-stock Head Start program. I wonder if that will force them into putting them into its position sooner than later. So for anyone that doesn't know what the in-stock Head Start program is, it's already on. So he's put it on there. Okay, that's good. So I'll just quickly tell people what it is now. It's where you can put your stock up for sale at a further date of Amazon's estimation, while it's in the process of being shipped into Amazon and possibly finding its place within its chosen fulfillment center. Now, of course, a few years ago, when you used to ship a package in, it used to arrive at a fulfillment center and it used to stay there. Didn't used to move anywhere else.
No.
It used to stay there. Didn't move. Now they have a habit of transferring stock and moving them around fulfillment centers. Why? I mean, I can think of a few reasons why they do it, but with the amount of manpower and the transport costs, and I still can't fathom really why they do it. Do you know, Matt?
I do actually. It's to do with the delivery guarantee. So Amazon's strategy is, in order to meet its next day delivery targets, it has stock in every kind of core fulfillment center. So for example, they'll send. So if you send something to, most of the stuff goes to BHX4, I think would most people agree, which is sort of like on Milton Keynes, Midlands. They will then send some down to the southwest, to sort of Bristol. Then some will go to London, some will go up to Scotland, and therefore they've then got your stock coverage all over the UK, and therefore they can meet the delivery targets. So that's why it's done. Because I think there was a lot of complaints back when I was selling at the beginning of Prime that not everything was Prime eligible, because then it was to do with the location of the stock. Because obviously, if you send all your stock to the Midlands, even for Amazon, it's very difficult for them to deliver that product next day, just to say Inverness or even Edinburgh, because it's a good 6-7 hour drive, and that's assuming you're going non-stop. So logistically, it's very difficult to reach those sort of, the same with Cornwall, for example. They couldn't have an next delivery promise from a piece of stock in Edinburgh down to Cornwall. It's an 11-hour drive, even if you do it non-stop. So logistically, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, well, that totally makes sense. So shut my mouth at the end of the day. Yeah, that completely makes sense.
I learned that on a fulfillment center tour. That's why. So if anyone ever gets, I think they're doing them again now. I went way before COVID, but if you ever get a chance to go to the fulfillment center tour, really, really worthwhile doing.
Well, they're building a fulfillment center in Bournemouth. It's quite the talk of the town. Like literally, you know what's so funny? Actually, I've had people have said to me that know what we do, and they say, "Oh, have you heard about the new fulfillment center?" And I say, "Oh, yes, yeah, I heard about it." They go, "Is it anything to do with you?" And I'm like, "No, no."
The funny thing is, I bet you'll never send stock there. You'll just everything will go elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But it's so funny that, and this is why there is still an opportunity to sell on Amazon, because there are still so many people that are not aware of how the infrastructure and the internal area of how Amazon works. People think we either work for Amazon, or the fact that we've just built 100,000 square foot warehouse and, we're shipping the stuff in. And, a couple of people have said that to me now. "Oh, is it anything to do with you?" And I was like, "No, it's Amazon. It's Amazon. It's not us. It's Amazon," kind of thing.
Exactly.
So
I've just seen a comment come in. Wouldn't it make sense for Amazon to distribute to different fulfillment centers when sellers are in the process of creating shipping plans? Somebody put a post on this morning about how frustrating it was when your shipments get split. That's why they don't do it, because they took so they actually I went to the fulfillment center tour, and there was a talk from one of the head operations, and he said, "We've taken feedback from sellers, and sellers hate splitting shipments, but we have to split them to meet logistics targets. So that's how we do it. You send to one place, and we then move the stock around for you." So okay, sometimes it has to split, but that's usually because it's different things going to different networks. And again, on the fulfillment center tour, quite fascinating. They were talking about oversized. Now, oversized inventory has to go to different location because the conveyor belts physically cannot take the size of oversized inventory, and that's why you have a preset of oversized inventory, and that's why them shipments always split. Same with dangerous goods. They have different fulfillment centers for dangerous goods and standard goods.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the thing is, it's like Amazon have generally thought of a lot of these type of things before. And, you cannot run. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Amazon infrastructure. I think actually for the most part, they get it right. That's what I've always said. You think about what they've achieved that no one else has been able to achieve. It is more of an achievement than people give credit for. The infrastructure for what they do is phenomenal. I'd love them just to make like a proper documentary about that one day, about Amazon FBA.
Yeah,
I think that would just be so cool, because it would be so fascinating how it started, from start to kind of end. But yeah, it is incredibly frustrating. Going back to what Sean was saying, he's got the Head Start program on. So yeah, we generally tell most people to disable that option, because what can happen is you can get a lot of cancelled orders because it's taken longer. But sometimes the theory was, I think, that it was supposed to get your stock checked in quicker, but I've never seen any evidence of that being the case, of having it on. So, but I just wondered in Sean's case whether or not it would make a difference. Obviously it doesn't, but yeah, check-in time. But you've also got to remember at the moment, guys, right? This is something to take into account, is between mid-August to the start of October is the busiest fulfillment time in Amazon in the whole year, right? This is when the majority of people, private label sellers, are sending their goods, containers worth of goods, into Amazon to stock up for Q4. So this time now is the time that you will experience the highest level of delays with your shipments going in, checking in, finding them and things like that. What's interesting, actually, we had a shipment leave on the 1st of September for America. and the tracking is DHL has said that it's delivered, right? But it's the 13th of September. And the first time I've seen this come up, Amazon have said that we cannot query the shipment because it's nowhere. This whole shipment's nowhere. We cannot query it until the 1st of October. So 14 days.
As in, you've got to allow them time to receive the delivery
before we're allowed to even open an investigation. So that's a month. That's a whole month now. So I don't know if there is an extended period. I don't know if it's just the US, but I suspect it's because this is the amount of time right now when it is the absolute busiest in the Amazon fulfillment centers. So just bear that in mind. Try and have patience where you can. But obviously, Sean, I understand your particular situation is a little bit unique. And the only thing that I can say is just don't give up. Escalate, escalate, escalate. Every time they reply, send it back, live chat. Try and get the Irish call center. They're the guys to speak to. Peter's confirmed it as well. So yeah, just relentless. Unfortunately, it's frustrating, but you've just got to keep going with it. Andre says finally managed to get here in time. Excellent. You've already
just on Sean's point, with the stock, is there scope to pull it back? I'm not sure what the cost implications are. Just from experience, sometimes it's quicker just to pull the stock back and send it back in again.
I think,
and then if Amazon have lost it, and if Amazon have lost it, another thing is you may find that they've actually lost it and you'll get reimbursed for it. So it's just something to weigh up. Generally speaking, if we have issues, we tend to pull it back and send it back in again because it's far quicker than Amazon resolving it.
Yeah, for sure. It's worth looking at for sure. Nick says new Bournemouth FC just to hold your inventory. Right. But what I was going to say actually when you were saying about the tour is I've never done a tour, but now I know there's one in Bournemouth. I'm totally going to do the Bournemouth one.
It's fascinating. Yeah,
it's not in Bournemouth, it's Paul. So when they do open the fulfillment tours, which I'm not even sure if they're doing them yet, and if they do one down here, I'll post it in the group, and anyone that wants to come down and meet up for the day and do the tour with me in my own hometown, because Matt knows I just don't travel anywhere. Don't go anywhere. So yeah, if anyone wants to do that, I'll open it up to everyone, because it's always a good networking event to have a look around a tour. It's something I've always wanted to do. Yvonne says, I find it very confusing to manage the shipments and work out if the stock is actually landed when some have been sold pre-landing. With the warehouse, my brain hurts. Yeah.
Can I elaborate on that one? So again, from the fulfillment center,
how
Amazon. No, I can't. So how Amazon works. This is what I was told by because it was really good when we were. The head of operations happened to be there on the day and came to speak to us. So how it works is, when your stock is received at fulfillment, because it's often most stock, even if it stays together, is still moved. Okay, because they have a receiving center and then it gets distributed to storage and distribution centers. So they have like an inbound center and then an outbound centers. When it's sold, so what happens is when it gets to the inbound center, it's offloaded onto the UPS wagon. It's scanned. At that point, Amazon puts all your stock available for sale on pre-order with a later delivery time. Okay, so this is why it's pre-sold. It then gets moved to its respective home, wherever it's going in the country, and then it is dispatched to the customer. So that's what your pre-sales are. It's when your stock has landed in fulfillment center 1, but is being transferred into where its final destination fulfillment center.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, that totally makes sense. I think the thing is, it's just goes to emphasize the need for, we always talk so much. And, this is one of the reasons why this group was created. Everybody always talks about sourcing. Everyone talks about this. Everyone talks about that. But actually, the real deal comes down to with the back end of stuff a lot, tracking stuff, analytics. Has this stock come here? It's not the sexy stuff to talk about, I'm afraid. That's why a lot of YouTube channels and TikTokers and whatnot, they talk and they focus purely about the sourcing, or they do this side of it because that's what people want to hear, isn't it? They want to hear about the sexy stuff, where actually part of the reason why this group was created is, you know, a lot of our focus is going to go into the back end of stuff and, you know, helping you guys run businesses, build businesses, scale businesses. And like I said, we've got so many exciting things coming up that we're going to focus on that, which is really, really exciting. But I digress. I won't go too far into that. There'll be a time and place for that, and today is not it. So what else have we got? A few more comments. Then there's a couple of things I want to run through before we talk about the IP stuff. Andre said they split a box label stage. So if you're given different labels for different boxes, this way, if you send in 10 mixed boxes, they can go to 5 different fulfillment centers. I think that's more about the, you know, the split that we were talking about earlier. I mean, it does. I understand why it makes sense, but obviously it's.
And I'll be honest, people moan about it now, but I presume you know back in the day, it was a nightmare. It was literally a roll the dice. And you'd basically prep all your units and you'd end up with 6 different fulfillment centers. And there'd always be 1 unit or 3 units going to one place. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend £3.50 on a box for 3 units, you know. And then I used to create shipments 3 or 4 times just to try and get them to go together. So it has got a lot better from Amazon's perspective. And I think they did take the feedback on board that sellers was literally not sending in inventory because it wasn't cost effective because of the split.
Yeah, absolutely. Prep roulette for sure. Luke, I've not watched it yet. Luke actually uploaded a live stream of someone on TikTok who was working in a fulfillment center. So if you want to watch that, search Luke's name and find that. I totally intended to meet how she didn't get the sack. Well, I don't know. Maybe she has. Maybe they've seen it on there now. Maybe they like the free advertising. But yeah, I definitely want to have a look at that. Catch up on that a bit later in the week. Andre says, what we also found is the more you mix up your boxes, the more fulfillment centers they will be sent to. I mean, the obvious things about splits are there's certain things that will automatically get a split. Oversized products, anything over 35 centimeters on the longest side, that will automatically split to a different fulfillment center. Clothing, but also people don't realize clothing accessories as well. So if you get like a little key ring that hangs on a bag, that could get split somewhere else. If you get a sports backpack, that's a clothing accessory. That goes to a different fulfillment center. Hazmat and dangerous goods, they go to a different fulfillment center. The others, it's just luck of the draw. Now, there used to be a hack a few years ago where you can just take a few things off the shipment, put it back on, and it sometimes used to stop the split. Again, they figured that one out. So you can't do that one anymore. So it is just luck of the draw, but also being aware of what is in your overall shipment. If you've got a lot of big stuff, it probably makes sense to put it in its own shipment where you can possibly get it in maybe 3 boxes. Maybe they're big but light, but maybe you can get them 3 boxes under 10 kilos and pay the equivalent of, you know, it's not quite buy 2, get 1 free, but it almost works out about buy 2 and get the next one half price. If you can make that saving on prep, you just got to be a little bit more strategic in what you're doing. If you're self-prepping, obviously, if you use a prep center, you're taking that, you know, removing that control essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, this is the new workflow. Yeah, I'm not exposed to the new workflow at all. Matt handles all of that. I can't imagine you are actually, Matt, because I know you don't you don't do it at all. That's why we brought Johnny in to be able to, you know, talk about workflows and things like that. I'm not allowed to prep anything. I sent 4 shipments to the completely wrong prep center once, so I'm not allowed anywhere near prep or anything like that. So Andre says the new one sent to Amazon lets you pack all together as they like. They will only have you print different labels from your different boxes from your shipment. Okay, that's interesting. I think what we'll do is we'll have Johnny come on at some point as well, and we can talk about the new shipping process and everything like that. That would be really good to be able to do that.
It's been put back now to, is it the 22nd of October?
Yeah, exactly. Johnny's just commented. He must have got a 6th sense we were talking about him, definitely. That's why definitely Johnny's the shipment process guy for sure. Right. So what are we going to talk about? Right, quickly. one thing. I'm going to track this every week. So I thought this would be quite fun. And this is where, if we were more technically minded, I would have a banner that comes up saying Nat's Q4 demand check or something like that, which, maybe I'll do it for next week. So for anyone that knows, I monitor quite a lot of the data and things like that when it comes to kind of, I suppose, trying to guesstimate what the demand of Q4 is going to be like this year. So we track certain keywords throughout the year and coming into Q4 to see how the demand compares to the last few years. And Matt, I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking. We haven't had a normal Q4 for quite a while, because obviously, look, a couple of
2019, I think, is the last time you're really looking at a normal Q4.
Yeah, exactly. So we've had skewed data over the last couple of years. And the trouble was, what hurt people in Q4 last year was everybody assumed the demand would be the same level, if not greater, than the year before. But of course, it was COVID. It was exceptional circumstances. We will probably never see that again. Certainly. Well, I can't say in our lifetime, because I never thought it would happen in the first place. So, but it's exceptional circumstances. So people were basing their buying decisions on what they'd sold the year before, and they got burned in a lot of cases. They got burned for two reasons, and that was the first of them. The second we're going to talk about in a moment, which is seller branded listings. So I think those were the two main reasons why people got burnt last year. This year, this is really about the first kind of week or so that we can start seeing an indication of what demand's going to be like and tracking it against last year. So, and we track certain words that we know that have those kind of real seasonal peaks, and what people are starting to search for. Now, Q4 has started in terms of the searches. So if you are that person that is selling seasonal goods are selling now, guys. Okay, simple as that. They're selling now. So if you have access to them and you want to sell them, don't think I need to hold them till November. Q4 demand, Q4 interest has started. And now really sometimes is a really good opportunity to really sell those goods before the masses get on top of them. You could potentially get some of the highest kind of margins. So yeah, Q4 started. You've heard it here first. No one else has said that yet, as far as I'm aware. Q4 started. So here we go. We'll put up a banner. It's definitely started for sure. What I'm noticing though is demand is down. Now, this could be to a couple of reasons, right? So it tracks via the measure that we use to track is track via week. Now, what I can't take into account, so we're about 50% of the demand for last year, for the amount of people that are searching for these seasonal goods. So that's like for like. We're about 50% down on the amount of people that were searching for these type of goods last year. But that, and there's always a caveat, it doesn't take into account, it so happens to be the week that we've started to track it, the Queen has died. Okay. So, which is a major news event. It's something that massively is affecting people in terms of probably their buying behavior and things like that, because they're watching big updates or events on the news. They may be thinking about other things, thinking about bank holiday next week, whatever. So demand has shifted and focus has shifted off of, I'll be honest, put your hand up. Who cares about electricity right now? No, everyone's thinking about the Queen.
About the Queen. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't start with the conspiracies, guys. I'm surprised no one said that one yet, actually. But our focus has now shifted onto something else, and that tends to happen with demand. So that it might be slightly delayed, but what I'll do is every week I'm going to keep you guys updated on where we are in terms of demand from last year to this year. But at the moment, it looks like we're about 50% down at the moment. And that could be for a various amount of different reasons. It could be starting later. could be down to the Queen. It could be people have been preoccupied by the economy and energy prices. And it could just be we had a great summer this year in terms of lovely weather. And
I
people
was
have
going to
taken.
say, I was on the weather. It's still quite warm.
Yeah.
Like, as you know, if you think about it, it's 20, even up here in the north. It's still 20. No, apart from today, it's been 20 odd degrees every day, which is still pretty summery almost.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a number of different factors. And what I don't want to happen is, well, Natalie said it's going to be 50% quiet than it was last year. It is the first metric that we have looked at, the first indicator of potentially what could be coming over the next, few months. So in that bearing in mind, there's two things I wanted to highlight here. One, seasonal demand has already started. So if you are somebody that has ordered stuff and you're thinking of holding it back, don't sell it now, because likelihood is you'll probably get the highest price and the highest margin for it right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're prepared to wait until the week before Christmas. So sell it now. Don't worry about thinking, like Johnny says, they've already sold Advent. I know people are selling Advent calendars already now. But secondly, please bear in mind, I think everyone learned the lesson from last year anyway, that when it comes to data and when it comes to Keeper and everything like that, do not base your decisions on last year. Base them on this year. You can look at the frequency of sale. Absolutely. You can look when it gets busy. That won't change. But just bear in mind when it comes to that right now and everything that's happening in the country and whatnot, the advice always should be still at this moment in time, shallow and wide in terms of this type of stuff. Buy 10 calendars. If they sell, great. Go and buy 10 more. Don't buy 4,000 unless you're Johnny Smith. So yeah, that's the advice, is just act with caution a little bit. And you know what? I would rather kick myself that I sold out than be stuck with a load of crap. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I think the problem as well, particularly with what we're about to discuss with the buy box suppression, when you do go very heavy into a line, and Amazon decides that your price is not competitive for no other reason than they've decided it's not competitive, then that can really, really have a bad impact on your business.
Mm-hmm.
But by spreading your risk, then it's much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Andre said, Andre's just figured out our next course, unfortunately, which is how to resell and buy B&M Reese's advent calendars. We were just about to release that one as well. Can't believe it. You foiled our plan, Andre. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Actually, all jokes aside, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And hopefully you'll see what I mean, whereas the difference between, what you can do and what you should be doing on Amazon, or what you should be doing and what you can do. I don't know, whatever way. Hopefully I'll come on and talk about that in a moment. Quickly then, well, not quickly, because it is a serious subject. And I actually posted a couple of days ago because I'm hearing so many people talking about suppressed buy boxes. We're seeing it in America, loads at the moment. And I got thinking, actually, and this was just before the Queen passed away, that I was thinking about, do you know what? I had this feeling we're starting to hear about these suppressed buy boxes, people's listings being deactivated due to high pricing errors and things like this. And I was thinking, right, we are heading into recession. It's as simple as that. So I wonder if Amazon will start looking upon high pricing errors the same way that they looked on, in this recession, as the same way that they looked on price gouging in COVID. And they're not going to have it because they don't want Amazon to be seen as like a rip-off platform.
Exactly. I think that's the problem. I've noticed that they're really keen on comparing the marketplace, not just other Amazon sellers. I don't know where they compile this data from, but there's a few offers of ours where we are way under the RRP, but we're not deemed to be competitive with the market. because I think another problem that we are finding particularly is that our products are discontinued, and therefore it goes off the last recorded price, which is always going to be the clearance price. And actually, we are still offering good value. We're still under the RRP, but we're not deemed to be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where they get this data from. So just to fill you guys in, with these high pricing errors, which I suspect we're going to see, this is going to be the Q4 issue, right? Every Q4 has an issue. Last year, it was restock limits. The year before, it was DOCs, Declaration of Conformity on toys. The year before that, there was a shift in the algorithm that started making merchant fulfilled the same as FBA. There was a massive switch in buy box allocation. And I think, I mean, I haven't got a crystal ball or anything like that, but I think this year's issue is going to be pricing. Because you start to see it in the run up towards things. A few weeks ago, I maybe thought it might be declaration of conformity, but that's something we've just got to, that's something we're always seeing now anyway. But this year, I think it's going to be fair pricing. And the fair pricing policy, because they're starting to bang on about it, and it is to do with the economy. But the difference is the fair pricing. We've got two issues here. We've got suppressed buy boxes due to uncompetitive pricing, and then we've got fair pricing policy, which is essentially price gouging, which is taking advantage of, or a price or scalping or whatever in a certain type of situation. Buy box suppression due to uncompetitive price or match competitive price is just Amazon trying to get you to lower the price. Simple, no consequences. Fair pricing policy is a account health metric. So if you get a fair pricing violation, it could result in account health issues, which could result in suspension or the loss of your privilege, of your selling privileges. So there's two different issues here. So you have to know what to be aware of. A suppressed buy box will not result in a account health violation, whereas a fair pricing policy could. And that's in its extreme. It's unlikely one would. At the time of COVID, they were super touchy about it. So one could result in a suspension, but unlikely now, I would think. So how can you kind of avoid it? Well, it's funny because Andre's made a good point there. Is one of the things, and this came from Johnny Smith, actually. We were talking about it earlier. One of the things you guys have got to realize, if you are sourcing from very well-known places where Amazon can easily access the information of the prices, then you're going to have to expect suppressed buy boxes kind of from now on, really, because it's so easily, accessible, that information for them to check it against. So they said whether they send bots out or whether it's manual checks, I don't know. I think it's likely bots, I would have thought.
I think it's bots, which is why I think I think particularly in a lot of products I've looked at, it's kind of like there's indexes of products. I think it's done via an EAM match, and we have found. For example, one of our products is a light bulb. Okay, Amazon says the competitive price is £12. I've seen online that 3 other retailers have had them at £12, and the listing is still cached in Google, but the product is out of stock. So we can now no longer sell our product for less than £12. For more than £12. We can only get the buy box at £12 on this product.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Josh said there as well, had a blusher bought from a wholesaler for £2, and Amazon's competitive price was £3.9. Yeah, I mean, ridiculous. And
so they probably scalped the internet, and there's some retailer that's comparable on EAN has sold it for £3.09 and still has that page cached on Google or on their website, even if they've got no stock.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what it is. I can go into and I can search for any product on Amazon. And even if that product has not been available from the main retail distribution chain for 2 years, and I can still find that product and it will still show me a price, even though it's not been in stock for 2 years. Yeah. So like you say, it has to be down to some sort of scraping that they're getting that information from there. unfortunately. Andre said, why don't they suppress themselves? They have a £2 Galaxy calendar selling for $11.99. Lint, $6.50, selling for $14.84. Because it's Amazon is the classic of you do as we say, not as we do. It's as simple as that. There's no other. Yeah, they don't follow their own rules.
And also, in fairness to Amazon, if that, I mean, I don't know in that particular example, is that price being offered online, or is it just in store? If it's not being offered online, then the automation is probably not picking it up, and therefore that's the reason it thinks it's a fair price.
Methinks you're being very generous to Amazon today.
I'm being very generous, I know.
I think you are for sure. Cindy says they probably use trolley.co.uk. Yeah, it is online. Yeah. I think
there you go then.
Yeah, Matt was just being
as we say, not
generous.
as we do.
Yeah, absolutely. That is what it comes down to. The reasoning is what it is. But there's definitely a few things that you can do, like, things sourced from places that are not as accessible, for sure. Johnny says it's one of the reasons why he adopted his minimum order quantity, selection in what he does. Sourcing products that are not connected via an EAN, but to be honest, that's a very convoluted way of sourcing, and I wouldn't really expect anyone to do it. I certainly wouldn't do it. There are things that you can do. Now, what I will say, suppress buy box, the biggest tip we can give is it doesn't mean that it's permanently suppressed at the price that you've given. So what you can do is what I call it is doing a wiggle. So you can do a price wiggle down. Don't go down too quickly, because then you might end up suppressing it even further. So you can gradually go down. You can gradually go down, and you can try and find a point where it unsuppresses. Then you can even slower go back up, 50p at a time, something like that, to see if it will let you go back up past where it was, but it certainly won't probably let you go to where it officially was. If you are creating listings, do not put 0 as the RRP and the list price. But another tip, definitely as part of due diligence when you're doing your sourcing, if you have never seen it selling at that price, don't get it. Don't think, oh, look at that. Well, I could sell that for £70, even though it's never sold at £70, in its life, whatever. You've really got to look at the Keeper chart or the Buybot Pro chart and show you within those parameters what the maximum and the minimum prices are that it's shown at. One of the good tips is on Buybot Pro, they show you a 30, 90, 180, 360 day average price chart. So that's a really good indication of what the maximum of, you could potentially achieve, but it doesn't mean it won't be suppressed at that price.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Ephraim, we don't allow any type of advertising, unfortunately, for services or anything like that. So happy for you to stay, but please don't offer any type of products as we're live. Appreciate you being here, though. So that's it when it comes to suppressed buy boxes. I do think it's going to be the new the new declaration of conformity. I do think it's going to be something that this year it's going to have a little bit more of an impact. But if you are partly in charge of creating your own kind of destiny as such on Amazon, that you don't tend to, people that create their own listings don't tend to have as many issues. I'm not saying you won't get issues. It depends on the type of listing that you are creating. But if you create your own listings, you are less likely to experience some of these issues. Johnny says, remember to price 10% above what Amazon want, and Amazon will discount the rest. That's interesting.
Yes, that's very common. Yes, I've seen that a lot, actually. Amazon do Amazon basically discounts. And so let's say, example in mine, this is a real life example. We could get the price up to $12.99, and we would get £12.99, and Amazon was offering the 99p discount, taking it down to £12 for the customer. So it's a Amazon sponsored discount, I think it's called, or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it is done. I don't know if it's on every listing. I don't know what the criteria is, but certain products you can get Amazon to discount. But generally, I think Johnny says 10%. So I'm guessing in mine, since I might have got it to 13, 20, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Well, it's definitely worth considering. Like I say, have a play around with that pricing as well, and don't jump around on price too much. That can cause suppressions. If you use a repricer that is continuously changing the price, that can cause suppressions as well. There are lots of different things, but at the same time, if you've got a suppression and you've got something like Profit Protector Pro and you use their aggressive dominator, what that will be able to do is that will move the price around and see if it can find the optimal price of where it's finding the unsuppressed buy box again. So if you do have Profit Protector Pro, then and you're experiencing suppressed buy box, it's worth checking it out on that one for sure. Right. Any other questions about suppressed buy boxes before we move forward? I mean, like I said, I think it's going to be the issue this year. That's the vibe. That's the feeling I'm getting.
I agree. I think it's already affected us, and I think it's going to. I don't think anyone is going to be unaffected. Maybe obviously people who create their own opportunities, but even then,
well, already in America,
data.
Yeah. We sell arbitrage in America now, and already we've started to see suppression of buy box. So we were wholly unaffected before because we only ever sold our own products. But now having that exposure back into the arbitrage market, absolutely, you can see what a pain in the ass it's going to be perfectly honest. So, but adapt or die, folks. That's going to be the motto of the next 12 months.
I mean, also, it doesn't, just because you don't have the buy box doesn't mean the item isn't going to sell. Just want to point that out. Now, of course, the buy box is a massive factor in sales, but it doesn't mean that the item is not going to sell just because you don't have the buy box.
So I'm just reading your comment, Andre. Sorry, I don't get what you're saying. Chocolate not showing at all. Chocolate. Sorry, I don't get the question, or if it's just like a statement. I'm not sure. Yeah, just maybe clarify that. Poor chocolate not showing at all in Emma House. Yeah, sorry. I'm not getting that one. Poor chocolate not showing at all in Amazon for advent calendar search. Yeah. I'll have to come back to that one.
Maybe elaborate more.
Yeah. Chocolate advents. Ah, right. Sorry. Chocolate advents are not showing for advent. Ah, right. You're saying somebody's put that up in the post. Right, in Emma's. I couldn't understand poor chocolate, advent calendar, and Emma. I couldn't understand what the correlation was between all of that. Maybe. Yeah, we might see a difference with search dynamic at the moment as well. And the other thing to take into account is, the high fat, sugar, and salt. We don't know what impact that's going to have yet. And that was the other reason why, not going heavy on these type of seasonal goods products at the moment is not a good idea until we know, what's going to happen with the HFSS. So, of course, as the weeks go by in the run up to the 1st of October, we'll keep you updated with that. Has anyone not seen the special that we did 2 weeks ago that Johnny and I did on high fat, sugar, and salts and the changes? If you haven't, Matt, would you mind
I'm just going to pop the tool in there. So if anyone's not seen the tool,
yes,
I'll put a link to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So pop a link up, and then also on this channel, never mind
completely free, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, no charge for it.
Yeah, there we go. So you guys can download the tool that Johnny's created to help people navigate through the nightmare that we think will be high fat, sugar, and salts. And by the way, we've talked quite a lot about this, and I think we're still really the only people that have talked about it. And, I really, really hope, do you know what, on the 1st of October, it all turns out that we were like overreacting. I want that more than nothing, nothing else, to be perfectly honest. than what we think potentially could happen. So if the world doesn't end on the 1st of October for chocolates on Amazon, then believe me, if anyone tries to say, oh, we caused up a load of fear about it or anything, like, I would rather do that and be prepared and be wrong. And well, I say wrong, we don't really know what's going to happen because Amazon have said, so I'd rather be prepared. Luke says, I think this group would definitely be ahead of the game as no one else is talking about it. Yeah, I mean, they could be right. It could be a storm in a teacup, but definitely I want to know about that. I'd rather be prepared and have a little bit of egg on my face, and I'd rather take one for you guys, and that's it. Essentially. So Andre said, it looks like it's already starting, potentially. I can't imagine.
I think people are waking up to it now, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can already see that for the amount of people that are starting to search it on like YouTube and things like that, because the video that we did a couple of weeks ago is slowly starting to get more and more views. So I think people are definitely more being aware of it for sure. I think they will transition to failed NFT groups. It's got to be Johnny that said that. I don't know. Yeah, I think it is for sure. Right, let's talk about brand celebrate. Do you know what? We're nearly at the hour and we haven't even started talking it yet, but I think there was important points that were covered there. So what I wanted to run over today is I just get a little bit of sick and tired, to be perfectly honest, of people mislabeling and bashing unique bundles, which is probably the thing that I'm known most for. Essentially is, showing people how to do something a little bit different on Amazon. But because not everybody does not have to come to Elite Sellers Academy to learn about that. Absolutely not. You can absolutely find out about it outside of the Elite Sellers Academy. You don't have to come there and do it. But I think what sometimes happens, definitely in Facebook groups, is people associate a certain type of practice on Amazon. And I think what's happened is my unique bundles, which I named unique bundles. I didn't invent the concept, but I named it unique bundles, has been sort of transferred into that practice, which is a bit of a unmoral practice of selling on Amazon as far as I'm concerned. And what's interesting is you will hear me use the word moral as opposed to against Amazon terms of service. And this is the key difference that I wanted to talk about today. So I wanted to kind of run through a little bit what a unique bundle is, what a unique bundle is not, what is Amazon terms of service, what Amazon terms of service is not, just to help people differentiate the two. And if you are going to go into it, ensuring that you go into it with the best of intentions to do it right, as opposed to, doing it the way it shouldn't be done. So, I can pop some details, Roxana. I can send you some info on that. But so when it comes to unique bundles, it all changed a couple of years ago. Selling and creating your own opportunities and listings on Amazon, whilst it's always been more difficult than selling arbitrage, now I look back to a couple of years ago and I think, wow, it was so much easier a couple of years ago than it is today. So Amazon introduced something. Andre said, I'm not sure I should stay for this. Amazon introduced something called the Amazon brand name policy a couple of years ago, which changed the way they wanted brands to be represented on Amazon. And it's taken them about 2 years to make all the changes, whilst not telling anyone that they were really making any changes and not really telling anyone how they're supposed to do things. And this has been the struggle in creating your own opportunities. And it's why we put so much time and effort into Elite Sellers in working out errors and how not to do something and all these different types of things. Because, like I said, if you read the terms of service, you think, oh, great, I'll just do it like that. But unfortunately, and this is, I think, the best way to describe it, Amazon terms of service doesn't talk to Amazon. They don't communicate with each other. So it will say you can do it in Amazon terms of service, but on Seller Central, you can't. The two don't talk to each other for some reason. And to this day, I still don't know why. I can only assume because it's not, there's too many different variations, and Amazon will just cover the basics essentially, but they won't take into account, but what if this happens? And I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. So Amazon brand name policy, and you guys can all look this up yourself. This determines how a product should be described and represented on Amazon. And this is the big key factor here. And again, I don't really hear people talking about this. So I don't think people understand this. Brand name on policy on Amazon is about how a brand is represented on Amazon. Okay, so the first line of the Amazon brand name policy, and I read it here because I don't know it word for word, is Amazon considers a brand to be a name that represents a product or set of products. Now, the key word there is represents. It's not Amazon considers a brand to be a name that manufactures a set of products or brands. Represents. Not distributes, not manufacture, not owns. So not Amazon considers a brand to be a name that is owned by somebody who represents. It's who represents a set of products. So here's the hard truth, they call it. Amazon does not care who sells what on Amazon. When it comes out that a seller has issued an IP claim on a Reese's calendar, they don't care, right? Now, it's not right, obviously, because they are not the brand owner of that product. But Amazon does not care. This is the key factor. Now, if you go ahead and appeal it and everything like that, there could be a good chance that you can get it removed. But the Amazon brand name policy exists on Amazon because Amazon sees it as it's black or white now. You are either registered brand on Amazon or you are not. It's as simple as that. If you are a registered brand on Amazon, you have more rights than someone who is not a registered brand on Amazon. It doesn't mean, you don't have more rights. You have more easily accessible rights. Okay. So when somebody gets issued an IP claim by a seller who has taken over a listing and created it as their own, the first thing people get upset about, that's against Amazon's terms of service. You can't do that. That's not fair. Well, I'm sorry. The hard truth is it's not fair, but it's not against Amazon terms of service. So is everyone getting this so far? Is it making sense? Okay, I don't want to go too far into it and everyone goes, yeah, but that didn't make sense in what you said there.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Amazon see it as whoever created the offering on Amazon essentially is the person that is representing that product. And that person does not have to be the manufacturer. Does that make sense? Or the brand owner. Amazon opens its catalog to anybody to list any product on Amazon. Okay, anybody can list a product on Amazon, in theory. And that's the caveat. In theory, they can. The system is very different. But don't ever think that Amazon is going to be upset. Now, the only time when Amazon will get upset about it is when they take complaint from the brand owner itself. So this is the difference. It is up to the brand owner to complain if somebody has done that, because they have misrepresented their intellectual property. And that is what report a violation is for a complaint about somebody's intellectual property. Okay. So that's the key difference. So I know it's tough and I know it's unfair. And I've kind of kept my mouth shut about this for a little while, because the trouble is when you've got mob rule a little bit, when someone posts something in a group and, in our group or, Vlad's group or Emma's group or Arborversity, what happens is everyone kind of gets het up about it and they go, yeah, that's not fair. that's against Amazon terms of service. And a couple of times I've stepped in and said, actually, guys, it's not against Amazon terms of service, but no one wants to hear it at that moment in time because they're all so angry at the seller. Does that make sense? So whereas this has always kind of been the case, but Amazon have clarified it a little bit more over the last few years. But there is absolutely a difference between what you can do on Amazon and what you should do on Amazon. So again, on the other side of it, I don't want people saying, well, Natalie says it's all right to do this and issue IP claims. Absolutely not. When we teach in ESA, we teach people how to do it properly, right? But what I will say, there is a certain way to do it and there's not a way to do it. And we definitely teach the moral way to do it, the right way to do it. But what's happening is unique bundles, the name is being pulled into the wrong way to do it. Well, I suppose, I'm going to call it the wrong way to do it. The unfair, the immoral way to do it, whatever. So that's what I wanted to clarify and show you the difference between what a unique bundle is and what a unique bundle isn't. And it's not just about defending unique bundles or whatever, but it's about making that clear differentiation between the two. So you guys don't get caught out over Q4, because if ever there is a time when you see these kind of practices being put into place, it's Q4. We saw it a lot last year. And because of all the reasons that we've just spoken about, demand being down, suppressed buy boxes, you're going to see it even more this year. I've got no doubt about it. And I think the thing is, at the time, I remember saying to people, I said, guys, everyone's going to be doing this next year because it's not against Amazon terms of service. And again, I was sort of shouted down saying, no, Amazon will do something about it. It's this, it's that. And unfortunately, it's not the case. This is here to stay. But you have to know what to look out for sure. So that's the first point. So then I'm just going to jump over. And actually, no, I won't yet. Let me just quickly run through. There's 5 main ways to create a listing on Amazon, because a lot of the time, we stay in the light at ESA. We definitely do, for sure. I always try and make some really bad, like dark side, light side, comparisons, and I always end up saying it wrong and making a fool out of myself. So there's 5 main ways to list a product on Amazon that does not already exist in Amazon, in the Amazon catalog. So if it's already within the Amazon catalog, you shouldn't have too many issues with this to start. It's really only about if you want to add a new listing to Amazon. And the Amazon brand name policy is connected to all of this. So, when you see a lot of people in groups saying, oh, I've got the Amazon 5665 error, or I've got the Amazon 5641 error, it's all connected to this. So the 5 main ways to list a product on Amazon is if you are listing say a product on Amazon. I'm going to find a product. Let's have a quick look. This is like a hair oil. I just got it out of my drawer. So if this product doesn't list on Amazon, how I could list it, if it didn't already list, is I could scan that barcode and I can put it in, and that's how it should be listed. Then what Amazon will do is they will check the database. They'll check the database on GS1 where this barcode has been registered, more than likely. And they will say, what brand? This is Weller. And they'll say, right, okay, that's a Weller product. I can now list it as a Weller product on Amazon. I can now list it as a Weller product on Amazon. And then I can list it as that product and it will recognize it as that product. So, that's the best way to do it. Okay. On a single product. But obviously, if I've got 2 of these on a bundle, I can't use that because it doesn't identify that single product. So that's when you have to either attribute its own barcode to it. But of course, what you can't do is I can't put that down. If I've got 2 of these, I can't put that down as a Weller created product because I've created that product. It's a new product, so it needs to have its own barcode to be able to do that. And in that case, then I can potentially put it under my own brand, providing I add something unique to it. But that's a whole different ballgame. So single product, I would use, so you can use your brand's own barcode. Now, what happens if the brand's own barcode is already being used, or it's not found, or it doesn't exist, which happens a lot. Companies do not update their barcodes. So say, for instance, they change one ingredient in this particular product in the packaging. What they might have done is they might change the barcode, but they haven't updated the database. So it becomes kind of confusing. So what you can do in that case is you can apply to Amazon Seller Central with pictures, details, everything like that, barcode, and you can have them manually upload it and do it for you. But speaking to Seller Central and getting that done sometimes can be a little bit confusing. So the easiest way outside of that is to do it on something which is known as the Gti Exemption, which is a product that does not require... Sorry, I didn't turn off my Skype. Just put focus back on. A product that does not require a barcode to be listed. So you don't need to enter a barcode to be able to do that. But you used to be able to get GTI exemptions for pretty much anything. So now it's a little bit more difficult to be authorized to create GTI exemptions because you have to do it under the brand generic. So generic has now become a brand. It didn't used to. It used to be something that anyone can use. So you have to be authorized to sell under the brand generic. Is everyone still with me? I know there's a lot of me talking here. Sorry, guys. I know Matt's looking a bit bored now.
No, all good, all good.
You have to.
No, sorry. You know, I was about to sneeze, and you know when you're about to sneeze, and you're like, I'm not actually going to sneeze. Hold it.
Well, I know Andre said about not at all staying in the light in ESA. Just to clarify, and I know Andre knows this, I think what we're saying is everybody that joins ESA, we teach in the light, but I can't make everyone stay in the light. I just want to clarify that. You know, I don't have a Jedi mind trick that forces everybody to do it, obviously. So, you know, I hope that's what Andre means by it, because we certainly teach everything as terms of service when it comes to elite sellers, for sure. So back to that. So GTI exemption. So we've got, you can use the brand's own UPC or EAN code. You can use a GTI exemption under the brand generic. You can apply to Amazon Seller Central to manually have it added. You can use another options. You can use another option, which is you can create your own unregistered brand on Amazon, which is the same as having your own brand, but it's not through brand registry. And then finally, the fifth option and the last option is you can be brand registered. But you should know the difference between as and when it's appropriate to use those type of listing creation tools to be able to go ahead and create a listing. And I think that's where the confusion lies for a lot of people. Like, what do I list this under if the barcode doesn't work? Well, for an example for this, I'm authorized GTI exemption for generic. So for me, if I could not list it under here, I would just list this single product as GTI exemption, no barcode and generic. Now, say for instance, I'm always looking for stuff in my drawers. Right, hang on a sec. Oh no, that's a really dodgy hairbrush. Right, I keep all my hairbrushes in here just in case I need to brush my hair before I go live. Right. Oh my God, excuse the really dodgy hairbrush. Right. Now, say for instance, I've got this hair oil and this brush is a Natalie brush. I've had it manufactured, I've had it branded, I've had whatever. Right. Now I put these two together and I've created, that's cotton wool on there, by the way. It's not like dodgy hair. And I put these two together and this is Natalie's brush, right? That is creating a bundle. Okay, and it's creating a unique bundle because this is my product and I own it. But what I can use is I can use the power of this product to help me sell this product and sell the both combined. But at the same time, what I can do is I can stop people jumping on my listing because I own this product. This is my intellectual property. Okay, so I own this product. But what I can't do is I can't use the power of this product to solely sell this product. I have to identify that this product is also not this product. So what I mean by that is I have to say I'm selling this product, but make it clear that this is not a Weller product. This is a Natalie product. Okay. And not use this to drive too much of the sale towards it. They call that something called cloaking, which again, that's another conversation for another day. So does that make sense so far? Matt, hang in there. I promise. So
I'm good.
I'm selling that. Now, I would sell that under two ways. I could either sell that under, I can get a Gti exemption for my own brand. I can sell it under my own registered brand, or I could sell it under my own brand registered brand. Okay. But I'm unlikely to sell that under generic because it's got my product in it. Okay. But I want to make it absolutely clear that this product that's probably going to drive a lot of the sale towards this is not a Weller product. So that's misrepresentation of the product. I've got to make this absolutely clear. Okay. So that's how you would do it. That's how you kind of differentiate between what you sell on and what you don't sell on. Okay. Now I'm just going to quickly jump over and share my screen super quick. And I just want to show you one example of, let's stay on screen. Actually, let's jump back. I'll go full screen. Can you guys see that okay? Hopefully you can. So I just quickly wanted to show you the difference between what is a unique bundle and what is not a unique bundle. Well, technically it is a unique bundle, but you know, whatever. So some of the things you want to look out for if you are, well, let's talk about the unique bundles quickly, first of all. So this is in essence what I would consider to be a true unique bundle. It's a representation of products put together that sells incredibly well, that's incredibly compelling to a customer. It ticks all the boxes. It's nicely presented. It's under brand registry. It is, you know, a true unique bundle. It's effort that's gone into this. It is essentially as close you can get to selling a custom private label product on Amazon without shipping it over from China or somewhere like that. Okay. So this is, you know, it's what I use for a lot of my examples. This is a true unique bundle. Jumping over onto this one. Now, this is a unique bundle because this particular product has been added here to this set of chocolates. But for me, it is not a true unique bundle because a unique bundle, in how I see unique bundles, should complement the product that you're trying to sell. It should make it highly convenient and very compelling for the customer to buy that particular product. What this person has done here has just literally put something with a product that is totally unrelated to the product. It doesn't offer any type of compliment. It doesn't, you know, there is no reason why somebody would buy this for the keyring. Okay. They just wouldn't. Even though what is funny is if you look at the reviews that there is like one or two reviews where someone said, I didn't get my keyring, which is quite funny. But a London keyring with Christmas chocolate, you know, if this was a Jubilee kind of bundle or something like that, or royal related, I can understand this. But you know, there's no reason why this would go together. There's no relevancy. Absolutely. It's alive and selling. It is. So what happens is with kind of bad actors like this a little bit in terms of the product, what tends to happen is people don't care. And the owner of the product or the person that originally registered and listed the product, what tends to happen is you can see people jumping on the product here. If we go back and look over here, they can't really stop it. And they've got no reason to stop it with this particular product because they're not brand registered, or they might be brand registered, but they're not kind of utilizing the brand registered. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know if this particular seller issues IP claims or not. if you're not selling this. But actually, there's nothing unique about this, because providing you can purchase these and you can purchase the key ring, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to jump on this particular product. Okay. So this is what I would call bad example of a unique bundle. It is technically, well, no, it's not. It's a bad example of a custom bundle. Because they've created it themselves, but it's not unique bundle, because a unique bundle has to have something that's highly relevant, highly compelling, and makes the customer's life a lot easier. And they don't care about this product. All products have to match for sure. So with this one, what you want to look out for. So say, for instance, you come across products like this, and this is a good example. You come across products like this. The first thing you want to look at is brand here. Okay. So if the brand does not match any of the products it's selling, then the likelihood is that that particular brand might be brand registered, or certainly have created their own unregistered brand. Okay. Now, just because they're brand registered, it doesn't not brand registered, it doesn't mean that they can't issue an IP claim against you. So if we jump back into this one, we can tell that this particular brand is brand registered mainly from the fact that they've got a video on their listing. That is only a benefit of brand registry. Whereas this person hasn't, but it doesn't mean that they're not brand registered. And the main difference is people think, oh, well, they're brand registered, so actually that's fine. They can't issue an IP claim at me. Well, actually they can. You don't have to be. It's just easier to do it through brand registry, and it's got more clout. Whereas anyone outside of brand registry can absolutely issue an IP claim against you, providing that they can prove that they are the owner of that particular product. So it may well be that this person maybe has manufactured this keyring. I don't know. So don't think just because there's not a video on it or there's not a store, that's another way that you can tell, is if it's got a store. Again, that's another benefit of brand registry that you do not get outside of brand registry. So don't think, oh, just because they've got that, oh, they haven't got that, they can't issue an IP claim at me. They can. So what you want to do in that case is you want to try and get your detective hat on. And I don't want to expose anyone's personal details or anything like that. So I'm not going to I'll do a post and I'll show you how to do it essentially, but I don't want to expose anyone's personal details like on a live video. So what you need to do is you need to establish who's created the listing, which you can come down and do. Actually, you need Keeper to do it. So if you come down and you can go all the way back to the start of when it was created. And if you zoom in on that, and generally the first person that's kind of got the buy box, that's generally the person that's created the listing. Then you want to try and find them in the store list. Now, it's might be harder to do if they do not sell on that particular product anymore. So what you'll need to do is put the information, say, for instance, into BuyBook Pro. Bring up the list of stores, but I don't want to show anyone's personal details. Then go into the store and then look up their company details. And then what you can do is, once you find their company details, then what you can do is you can search for them under by owner under find a trademark. Okay. Now, with regards to that, all you're doing for the purposes of that is to find out and make a connection is, does this person own a trademark? Now, there's no rhyme or reason to it, but the reason I say it's important to establish whether or not they own a trademark is because they might be hidden brand registered, which means it is easier for them to issue an IP claim. But in my experience, people that brand register and take the effort to brand register, because it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. It's not the hardest, but it's not the easiest. They're doing it because they want to protect their listings. Okay. So if somebody has taken that amount of effort, I'll just come back on now because I think I've finished. Stop sharing. If they have taken that amount of effort, or put that amount of effort into registering a brand and doing this, the assumption is, and it is an assumption, I'm not saying everyone does it because they don't, is that they could issue an IP claim against you. Is that fair? Does that make sense? So what you guys need to look out for this Q4 is that core under the brand name, the usual drop in IP. Looking back on last year, because if they did it last year, they're going to do it this year. Is there a drop in sellers, like a sudden sharp that you can't attribute to sales? Is it going to be someone that's potentially, if they've taken the effort to put something unique, they're brand registered, are they going to issue an IP claim to you? So that's the way that I see it. And my advice is to avoid those listings if you don't want to get an IP claim. Now, to be perfectly honest, you could fight the IP claim, you can appeal it, no doubt about it. People have been successful. I'd say it's a 50-50 rate of whether you're successful or not. Some people can issue legal letters because, they have no right to issue an IP claim morally from that point of view. So you can fight it. So if you're someone that likes to fly close to the wind, you can appeal it. It's as simple as that. Absolutely. And you would just then need to reach out to the seller and beg for forgiveness, essentially, or take them on head to head. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And also the other thing is as well, which I don't know if that's what Andre's saying, is once you get one seller that does it, they tend to do it on quite a lot of products. So it's probably a good thing to check out their store and just make a list of the other ones that they're doing on, or make a list of their brand name and do it for that. Sorry, I know. It's like, where's Matthew? Where's he gone?
I'm here. I've not gone anywhere. I'm here.
So does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, makes sense to me. No, but you're the expert on this, aren't you? So the authority.
Well, I think it's one of those that it's like you only know it when you're doing it so much, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is what, yeah, Sean, they don't own the products, absolutely. But we need to change the mindset of that, because it's not, this is the issue. And this is what I really want to spend some time not focusing on, because you shouldn't focus on this sort of stuff, but highlighting the awareness that it's got nothing to do with that. The Amazon brand name policy states that it's people who represent the products. Now, what it could come down to is Amazon could say, well, we mean represent that you've got authorization to sell those products. But guys, if you're listening to that, then you shouldn't be doing it. According to that, you shouldn't be doing any type of arbitrage. If you follow that rule, does that make sense?
Well, even in wholesale, unless you're buying directly from the manufacturer, nobody really has direct authorization to sell the product.
Yeah. So what I want to spend my time doing, even if it means talking about this in a couple of sessions, is really trying to take that level of frustration away from people. I don't have a magic wand that's going to stop people doing this. I do teach people to sell absolutely in the right way. And if you're going to do this, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Hairbrush and hair oil and representing it in that way under my own brand. Absolutely. But if you put a sticker on a weed killer, which is another one that I've seen, which is a classic, someone literally has printed a sticker and put it on like a well-known weed killer, then yeah, I understand why people get frustrated about it. But I understand why people get frustrated about it. But at the same time, it's not against Amazon terms of service. And that's what I want to try and alleviate the frustration from people saying that fighting against a system that thinks it's unfair, and it is unfair, but Amazon doesn't care. The reason they created the Amazon brand name policy is to have specific sets of groups of products and how they're represented. Now, yes, people have found a loophole to be able to represent them in the wrong way. But at the same time, yeah, it's my opinion. I think they usually do this. That's exactly why they do it. Exactly why they do it, because it's been born out of frustration from the price tanking and things. I always say this when people come into ESA, people come in because they're fed up with the price tanking. That's why people generally come in. They want to find they understand the power of Amazon. They know that Amazon can sell, but they're kind of fed up with having just all of their eggs in that one basket. And there's a different way to be able to create your own products, like we saw with that sweet hamper, to be able to do that. And what happens is when you start creating your own products, then you go on the other side. And that's when you start getting a bit more defensive about creating your own products. And you don't want people so you go from one extreme to the other. You go from arbitrage to creator. And what you do is, before you join ESA or something like that, you're like, I hate people that won't let me jump on their products. Then when you join, you're like, I hate people that jump on my products. It really does go from one extreme to another.
I've just seen a comment. Sorry, I can't see the names, obviously, because it says as Facebook user, but it says, has anybody emailed the brand about any of those types of listings? I'm tempted to do so on a couple of big ones, see what they say. I don't know what your thoughts are, but my thoughts are don't do that, because what you might find is that the brand might be helpful to you, but you have no more authorization than this other seller to do this, to sell their products. And what you could find is that they may never know, they might not care, they might ignore you, or they might actually come down like a ton of bricks on every single listing that sells their products. So it could have a very negative effect on all sellers, not just this particular seller, but all sellers.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't result in any type of suspension of services from the seller's point of view. It really wouldn't. They would just deactivate the listing. That's all it would be. Mm-hmm. So it would be for a case of like self-satisfaction that you got their listing removed, but that's
but they might then remove another 30 listings for the brand. They could even gate the brand. They could insist to Amazon, we want this brand gated now, and only people who've got authorization directly from us. So you could open a whole can of worms that you really don't want. I think my kind of strategy with a lot of these, unless you're working with the brand directly and you've got exclusivity, try to fly under the radar and don't draw any unnecessary attention.
Yeah, they could cut them out, but it's more than likely if it's highlighted to them, then they might go, oh, actually, maybe I'll sell on Amazon. Now, to be honest, a smart person would go in and say, hey, do you realize that there's people that are doing this with your brand? Have you thought about working with an Amazon expert who can do this for you and this? So it could be an opportunity. Absolutely. So if I was going to do it, I'd go in with that way. That's the way that I would go in. Have you thought about working directly with an Amazon seller to have control over your listing and have your brand represented in the right way? That's what I would do more. So it's people's own choice at the end of the day. I know some people that have, and some people, if they want to do it, they can. It's entirely up to you. So I wouldn't say yes, do it, or don't do it. I would say try and do it. If you're going to do it in a way that has benefit to you.
Positive impact,
positive impact of doing it for sure. Yvonne said, very interesting. So Wella couldn't do an IP claim because you're bundling your own product with a private label brush. No. It's not that easy, unfortunately. Bundling, again, is not where you get less frustration from price tanking. You can get frustration in different areas about, how to list products. The brand name policy has been put into place, and it's become a lot stricter about where you can and where you can't use certain brand names. So one of the benefits of being brand registered brand, say, for instance, Wella. Now, coming back actually quickly to Andre's issue, of what he said, what the question he said, coming back to that very quickly is you will simply go into a brand and saying, are you aware? There will be some brands that don't care. So if I went to Cadbury and said, do you realize that there are Amazon sellers on Amazon and they've put a sticker with a bottle of, with a bar of dairy milk, and they put it under their own brand, Cadbury's not going to care. I don't care about that. But if I have a company like this, Box of Tricks, I use this skincare brand called Tropic, right? This is a smaller company, but still a well-known brand in the beauty industry. Now, they're going to be quite protective of their intellectual property because they're also an MLM company as well. I'm not part of that. I just buy the skincare. And if I went to them and said, are you aware that Natalie is bundling that Tropic with her own face mask? Now, they would care about that because they're not as big as Cadbury. So they're more likely to have issue and, and that type of thing. So it also comes down to the brand. And that links in exactly to Yvonne's question as well. So with the Weller guys, when you become brand registered on Amazon, and this is a service that Amazon is offering to brands, by the way. So there will be a representative contacting people like Weller and saying, who are not interested in selling on Amazon Direct. They are interested in probably selling to Amazon, but not on Amazon Direct. So they will have someone contact their product representative, probably their product buying team or something like that, and saying, let us register your brand. And then what you can do is you can use it to protect your brand. You can gate your brand. What you can do is you can add certain keywords into the back end of brand registry that if somebody uses that keyword in your listing, it will automatically flag a suspected IP claim. And this is the big issue now. So when it comes to me creating my Weller and hairbrush thing, I don't know if Weller have put in Weller. I don't know if they've put in oil reflections as a trigger. So that's when it comes down to listing roulette. But there are certain ways, which is what we teach in ESA, that how I can write this listing that will give me the best possible chance of it not getting flagged up. And that's where the experience comes in. That's where doing this on a regular basis, you know what you can and can't. But I would be a liar if I said that there is a way to completely guarantee that I am not going to get an IP claim on any type of bundle that I create. It comes down to, pot luck, essentially. I mean, we mitigate risk as much as possible by doing the things that I've said here and other things, of course. But I can never guarantee that you're not going to get an IP claim. But they're suspected. And that's the difference of knowing between the two. A suspected IP claim is done through a bot, which means it's an automation, whereas a received IP claim is what you need to take seriously. Okay. Not going to have a voice tomorrow. Sorry, off the back of being ill over the weekend as well. Guys, does that make sense a little bit? And I appreciate there was a lot of me.
There were quite a few comments there, I think, kind of just following on from, someone said, again, sorry, I can't see names. I said, would a brand not care about the fact the representation of the new 2022 advent calendar on Amazon with a random keyring? They either are, and they're going to care so much that they're potentially going to start working exclusively with other people, or getting one of these brand cops type people to start issuing IP claims against everybody, or they potentially aren't going to care. I just don't think there's going to be any middle ground. I don't think that trying to contact the brand and say this listing needs to be taken down, but everything else needs to stay is going to work. They're either not going to care and they're not going to do anything, or they're going to care so much that they're probably going to employ somebody to come and chase after everybody, or go, right, well, we need to work exclusively because this is tarnishing our brand. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it's going to work well. It may do. You might have success, but in my experience, I think you're potentially going to open a can of worms that you don't really want by trying to approach these brands and say, do you realize this is happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if there's anything out of hour and a half conversation today, don't get me wrong, I think this has been a jam-packed session that has had 90 minutes worth of a lot of highly valuable content in. But if there's one thing I want people to take away from this, is the start of understanding the difference between what Amazon want and what is acceptable on Amazon. And there's one word I want you to remember at the end of this session today, which is the word represents. In that Amazon brand name policy, I'll read it again. Amazon considers a brand to be a name that represents a product or set of products, not manufacturer, not brand owner, not distributor, not wholesaler, not retailer, represents. So if I am representing my own product and my Weller product, providing Weller have no issue with me listing it, which they may or may not do, I am representing these products, me, Natalie's brand. So therefore I can list it under that. So that's the important thing I want people to understand, because I want to alleviate the frustration for people. And also, you know, stop saying unique bundles is a product with a sticker on it. It's not. That's not what a unique bundle is. And that's certainly not what I teach. So I want people, that's the main things I want people to take away from today's session, is that understanding, that deep understanding of Amazon. Because like I said, we get this mob rule kind of you know, feeling of, oh, Amazon, you know, how can they do this? It's against Amazon terms of service. It's not. It's a bit like drop shipping, right? Drop shipping is not against Amazon terms of service, but people say it is, but it's not. You know, and that's the same with this representation. It's not against Amazon terms of service, but the more you know that, understand it, and the more you can get around it, and not get around it, the more you can create your own opportunity, the more you can adapt into understanding how you can use it to build your own business moving forward. That's how I want people to look at it.
Yeah, definitely. I say there's a few things that are dangerous on Amazon, but they're not against terms of service.
Yes,
dropshipping is certainly one of them. Not recommended, by the way. Just as a thing, just because it's allowed doesn't mean it's recommended.
Yeah, and there's, if you look at the dropshipping policy on Amazon, it absolutely is crystal clear. It's just, you know, certain types of things like that. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's what that's what it comes down to. I personally wouldn't dropship onto an Amazon account. You can dropship off Amazon. You can, you can do all these different types of things. But just like I said, don't get into that mob rule of people of, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. It's against Amazon terms of service. Well, read the Amazon terms of service. Most of it's, to be fair, actually, the Amazon brand name policy isn't clear, but I only understand it 'cause I've been doing it for years. I wouldn't expect someone to read it and go, oh, that makes total sense. Amazon, you're so clear in everything that you say. There's a lot of jargon in that about what you can do, what you can't do, what error you should do this on and do that on. But yeah, unfortunately, Yvonne, it doesn't protect you either. It's not a magic way. Bundling doesn't solve all of your problems and get you around certain information. So you've just got to do your best to follow the rules as much as you can. Live in the light.
Yeah, definitely.
As much as you can, which I know is frustrating for some people, because you see people doing it and breaking the rules, and it's so frustrating. But at the end of the day, I think if it was me, then I sleep better at night knowing that I'm following the rules. That's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Any other questions? Right. Does that make sense, everybody? I know Colin said, was there a yeah, it'll go onto YouTube. You'll be able to see the replay on there. I think next week, Matt, you should talk about something where I talk about nothing. I have no opinion on.
something super short.
Something I have no opinion on at all. But
tell you what, drop actually interesting point. Drop any comments. Is there anything that you particularly like us to discuss at the moment? Because obviously we kind of just go with the feeling of the group, things that kind of pick up. Is there anything that anyone would particularly like us to discuss next week? We've got quite an open-ended session, haven't we? We're pretty flexible. So if anyone's got anything that they want to see discussed, fire away. And Tumbleweed, there's no comments.
Oh no, I think we're about 30 seconds behind. So I think what it is, Adaronke says that they reached out to the seller once and they said they would remove the IP claim, but they never did. Perseverance. Keep badgering them until they do, for sure. It was Johnny that says distributor may cut their account if they're doing any foul play. Do you know what? I get that. But to be perfectly honest, they want to sell products. You know, as long as someone's buying the products and they're not, you know, doing anything illegal or anything like that, then, you know, a wholesaler doesn't care. They just want to sell products and sell products quickly.
Yeah.
Andre said, for example, last Christmas, loads of new advents could not be listed because some smart ass is putting a key ring. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. But learn to do it in a way that is, you know, that you can do it. I'm just going through the comments. eBay, encourage people. eBay is just as good another income. Absolutely, for sure. So Andre says, basically, everybody can take any product that's not suspected to protect their IP, put a sticker on it or a key ring next to it, list it under the URB or brand registry, and gate everyone off the listing as it's not against terms of service. No, that's not it. So they can represent it in the way that we talk about in ESA, as long as they make it absolutely clear. But I always talk about as well, don't issue IP claims like this and this. I wouldn't issue an IP claim on. I would reach out to the seller and I would say, look, I'm not sure if you'll realize, but actually you can't provide this product because it's my product. You can't provide it. So, you know, please sell out your stock and kind of move on. Whereas someone else will just issue an IP claim kind of thing. But if you jump on my sweet hamper that I've showed you there, damn right I'm going to issue an IP claim because I've created that product. You know, that is a private label product, essentially. Yes, it's using other people's branded products, but at the end of the day, you know, that is considered to be a private label product. So I would do it in that respect. And I would do it on our American private label product because patterns have been added to it and things like that. But not in that, you know, that's the level of, whoops, that's the level. That's the level of unique bundle for me. You know, I'm never going to create a product with a sticker on it. And people ask me this all the time. And hopefully everyone in the ESA will back me up on this. We have different levels that we create bundles at. And sometimes you create a bundle that's not unique, that anyone can jump on. And one of the most common questions I get asked, well, why wouldn't you just make it unique? Well, there are certain products, and I'm creating 2 listings in America at the moment that are going to be non-unique bundles that anyone will be able to jump on. People are like, well, why would you do that? Why would you just not make it unique? Because there's nothing that I can think of, or I want to take that amount of time to think of, to make it unique. There's nothing compelling to go with that product. And I'm not prepared to add a sticker or a key ring or anything like that to it. I don't do that style of bundling. So I also see it as a way, I'm going to be in control of the listing probably for a couple of months. I'll sell out on it probably for a couple of months. I know the source of where to get stuff. People have got to figure it out. I know I've negotiated a good price on the stuff. Sometimes it's from retail or whatever. I know I've got the data, so I know how much it sells at, so I can keep it replenned nicely. But yes, eventually the arseholes will come and they will probably tank it and they'll do this, but they'll go away again. And potentially I might be able to have it back in the future. But I see it as a way of contributing to the world of Amazon as well. I create listings for people that, you know, eventually are for everyone. So that's the way I see it. But you will never see me creating a listing that does not make sense, or certainly doesn't make sense to me. I'm not the keyring sticker crew for sure. The assholes will come.
Crow of the day, that, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Luke says, I'm loving eBay. Do you know what? I saw your post the other day, Luke. I'm so pleased. You're loving eBay. It's a great platform, underrated platform for sure. So have a go. Ray said just keep doing what you're doing. Yvonne says managing returns. I know you've talked about it, but I'd like to know a bit more. Okay, definitely. We can have a look at that. So just going back, so Andre, reach out to me if you want clarification on that further. But you can't gate people off listings unless you're brand registered. But yeah. And you'll find most people won't do it. You'll just find the arseholes, well, you know, that's just what to look out for. Okay. So, anyone seen the new Amazon tape advertising on tapes that are on my returns? Tape?
No, not seen the new tape.
Like sticky tape? Or
have we got any boxes? No, can't see any boxes.
Advertising on tapes that are on my return. Oh, like branded sticky tape.
Yeah, I think he means like the Amazon tape.
Oh no, I've not seen that. No.
Like on the boxes. No, I've not seen that either.
Yeah, advertising films on tape. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I just realized that was something like tape. Are we back in the 80s? What, like a cassette tape? No, I've not seen those yet. I think, yeah, I've seen it. They're advertising on packing tapes, but not Amazon brands. Oh, that's interesting. Ooh. So they're using it as an advertising source. Interesting. Oh, look out for that for sure. Yeah, Simon says I've seen it. They're advertising on packing tapes, but not Amazon brands. Yeah,
I suppose it's always stupid. It never really made sense to me. I guess to Amazon, advertise Amazon to people who have ordered from Amazon. They know what Amazon is.
Yeah.
So selling tape to other companies to advertise their products on actually is quite a clever idea, really, isn't it?
Very clever for sure. Also Prime Video. Yeah. I suppose Amazon affiliated. Yeah, a few people have seen it. Guys, if anyone's got any handy, take a picture and pop it in the group. I'd like to see that. I've not seen it yet. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that is. Makes sense, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, to be able to do it. Yeah, Simon says seen it on his returns for sure. Right. Well, I hope today's session's been helpful. I know it was a long one and well done. I'll tell you what, actually, to be fair, we didn't lose any viewers until the last 5 minutes.
Valuable information, though. That's the thing. Absolutely giving away.
Hopefully it's valuable information, and hopefully I don't know, maybe I've confused you even more, but it's something you will continue to talk about just to make sure, that people are aware of this, because ultimately the main purpose of today's session was to hopefully try and alleviate a bit of frustration for people, and really to kind of stop you falling into the trap of where you could potentially get IP claims, from the sellers that operate bad practices. And that's what it is. It's bad practices. It's not against Amazon terms of service. And the way that I see it, one final point that I'll make, and I know, in particular, a couple of people said about, report them, do this, do that. The way that I see it is let them get on with it. Move on. Plenty more fish in the sea. And I know it can be frustrating, but kind of block them out and move on, live in the light, and, just find your own path, essentially. Let people get on with, you're never going to stop people doing, what they want to do. So just let them kind of get on with it. That's the way that I do. That's the way I view it. And I think you'll live your life a lot less frustrated if you do that.
Yeah. I can't add anything to that. I think it's just people are assholes, aren't they? You just gotta get on with it.
Oh, we almost made it a whole session without the recession coming in. I know I did mention it earlier. Snuck it on in the end. Going deep and fast selling products. Yes, exactly. Suppression of buy boxes. We just keep an eye on it. But that's why, guys, make sure you tune in live every week, because we will only talk about up-to-date and relevant information. We don't, you know, we don't sit here. Well, I don't know. Maybe guys, do we think we sit here spouting crap? I don't know. But we try and talk about the most relevant and up-to-date information that's going to impact on your business now, as opposed to something that's coming in 6 months or something that happened 6 months ago or whatever. We try and keep you up to date as much as possible. That's the purpose of this session that we run on a Tuesday lunchtime for sure. This is a master.
Don't worry, you send in your invoice in afterwards.
Well, apparently we don't do anything for free, so you know. But fingers crossed. I hope you guys found some value in it. But yeah, try and not get as frustrated for sure. So, any questions, as always, pop them in the group. We'll be back this time next week, probably for not as long. To be perfectly honest, but we'll be focusing on something else. I've got a special guest coming on the week after, I think, maybe. I'm not sure. We try and get a special guest on now once a month just to kind of mix it up a little bit. But any questions? You guys have been super active over the last week, and you know, just keep those comments and questions coming, and we'll do our best to help each other as a community. I suppose that's the most important thing, because we don't know everything, right? You know, and sometimes I see someone else answer something and it's the perfect answer, and I think, well, objectively subjectively it's the perfect answer, but always, you know, just because someone's commented, feel free to jump on and offer your opinion. I think that's the benefits of building a community like this for sure. Right, we're off skis.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Right, have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.